Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm the Strategy Professor, and today we're going to be doing a coaching session primarily for Morgana, but we're also going to look at Jinx as well. So special thanks to Wilt the Tilt for the generous donation. I really appreciate it, and shout out to his buddy Natrops as well. If you'd like a coaching session yourself on the channel, just email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. I'm happy to set that up for you. It's just $25 if you're not a subscriber to the channel, and just $20 if you are a subscriber. Come out, check out the live stream sometime at the Strategy Professor on Twitch. I just switched over from YouTube to Twitch. I'll have a link in the description if you want to check that out. I do still create a lot of content for YouTube as well, and this will be in a playlist on YouTube with more coaching sessions if you want to flip through and see some deeper analysis of some of your favorite champions. So check all of that out. If you are a sub, though, on Twitch, or if you are a paying member on YouTube or via the PayPal system that I have, all of those are $5. I'll give you $5 off of the coaching as well. Okay, so this is the last few days of 9/13. So I was on vacation. I just got back, but I haven't updated the patch yet, so I'm still able to do a coaching session for this before I update the patch for the stream later tonight. So this is on 9/13. I don't think that much has changed as far as this specific comp, but just worth noting that. Okay, so as far as just looking at the summoners and runes, I like the Jinx with lethal tempo. It's pretty standard on her. Airy on Morgana it's okay. I mean, you can use your W to get like easy procs of Airy off. So it does add some harass, and it gives you a little bit of bigger shields later. That's some nice zoning there, but be careful that you don't get level 2. That was really weird why they were acting like that. You did zone them out, though. It's unlikely that Talia comes for the level 2, but she could. So you just got to always be a little careful of that cheese early on if the enemy team's acting kind of weird. They look very scared here, so yeah, I would keep pressuring. I don't know if you took W or your stun first. Okay, nice. Good, there you go. That's probably a, yeah, flash. And a heal. Okay, so that, their heal probably won't be up till about, I think it's like 6:30. And then their flash is not going to be up till about 7, so. Estimations on the times there, but it's usually a pretty good estimation there. Okay, you gotta always be aware of the jungler. Now, Kha'Zix is top side, so if Talia shows up down here, he's not gonna be able to help you, obviously. And the scuttles are about to spawn, so I really like to ward right about when the scuttles spawn, and you want to ward like right here so you can see if they clear it. So the problem is if you ward right here, it doesn't see if this is cleared. Okay, she's top side. You might, if you see that, you need to ping the Trundle back. You should always be like just watching the minimap like a hawk, and if you have any information about the jungler, you need to share that with your team as much as possible. So, you know, it's obviously not directly your fault that he died there, but one thing that you could do that would help you out a little bit with that is, you know, just keep an eye on top lane also. Since you need to be watching there to see if you see her, so you know if you can be more aggressive. Since you're watching it anyways, if you see her, then just tell your top laner, just ping back and then ping her portrait a lot. So, would he have still died? Possibly. But that is one thing that I think a lot of people don't think about, is you can shot call for other lanes also. And, you know, you can save lives that way from across the map. That can be a really big deal. So, is it like your fault that he died at the gate? No, of course not. But at the same time, you know, should he be able to watch the minimap himself and make decisions? Of course he should. But realistically, people probably won't. I don't remember which elo bracket that's in, but even up in like platinum and low diamond, people just don't watch the minimap. I mean, I'm guilty of not watching the minimap too as much as I should sometimes. I think we could all watch it a bit more. But I know it's certainly helpful for me if I miss something and someone else pings it. So, that's one thing. Y'all are playing the lane pretty well. That's why I'm like talking about some of this higher level decision stuff, because you're kind of crushing them in lane here, which is good. Oh, you gotta flash that, I think. When did... Oh, you'd already just flashed a second ago? Let me see your flash again. I was just about to say, she might be bot side again when you were pushing up past this. But that's a pretty high probability of a kill, I think, if you land your Q there, so... Okay, you flashed... Okay, yeah, you kind of had to flash that. Yeah, you don't really need to come in again here. You don't have enough mana for Black Shield, probably. Oh, it looks like... barely got clipped on that one. So I would have probably just stayed out of that at that point. If you're thinking about whether or not she's going to be there, which you should be thinking that if you go all in. It takes, just so you know, Talia's a little bit faster, but just a good sort of overestimation is that just assume that it's going to take the enemy jungler 30 seconds to walk from base to your lane if they go straight there. So when you know she gets a kill top after 30 seconds, then in theory she could be bottom again if you don't know where she is. Now some people are faster. Once again, Talia's faster when she moves around the walls. If it's a jungler that has mobility boots, they're going to be a bit faster, but... So try to go up here and ward this. I still think that warding the scuttle... Now, she's probably got it this late in the game. I don't think she's a threat to do dragon early, but it's good to get in the habit of just warding the middle of the river there if you can. That does open you up if they curve through here instead, but... It gives you info on scuttle. And, if you're against a jungler who could do dragon early, you get that dragon info as well. So I just like to ward like right here, just so you can see the back of the pit, but you can also see river. And then just use like a control ward or something here. That'll also help help your jungler know that it's clear for ganks. Okay, speaking of which, what did you get here? Frostfang, alright. Stopwatch. How are we looking on CS? Doing pretty well. I feel like Jinx should probably have more CS since this person's, like, the enemy AD carry basically seems like they're AFK for the most part. Like, Jinx has had a wide open thing. But that just comes with some practice. You could even go in the, you know, if this is an early game in the day, you could even go into the practice tool and just, you know, practice last hitting for like 5 or 10 minutes. Just warm up before you play rank. Sometimes that can help. Get those mechanics, but yeah, with how much lane dominance you've had here, that Jinx should definitely have more CS. But that's just comes down to practice and getting used to champion animations. There's not much to say about that. Right, well, that's a bad sign, top, with we came back with just Sapphire. Okay, so you need to take a mental note here that Trundle's not doing so hot. Jax is going to crush him late game, and that itemization was a little sketch. So you don't need to tell him that. You know, you don't need to bully him about what's going on up there, but at the same time, you need to take a mental note and just say, all right, maybe we need to crank it up a bit here bottom. Take a couple more risks. Or try to like get out of this lane fast so we can go help him and win the game before, you know, that Jax ends up being 5-0 top lane. That's another thing a lot of people don't think about is they're like, well, I'll always win my lane, but some other lane feeds. It's like, yeah, but you could do stuff to maybe help that lane, you know? Like, if you, instead of just sitting there, like, crushing your lane over and over again, but not taking the tower, you could just take the tower faster so that you can, you know, get that person out of that bad situation top. Because you're going to have to carry people that fail. Like, basically every game. There's going to be at least, you know, 1 or 2 people on your team that are going to underperform. Okay, so Scuttle is spawning down here. So that means it's likely to draw attention from Talia. So you want to be careful about that. Because your Kha'Zix is just kind of wrong place, wrong time always this game, it feels like. So he's up top, so you're kind of all by yourself down here. So just be particularly, like, careful. Because Rakan's going to turn 6. Okay, he just did. And Talia is likely to be down here. So, no, actually she's top. Okay, well, both junglers are not doing what they probably should be doing. Okay, she missed her wall. Okay, what y'all can do right now is push. Like, hard push. You got Kha'Zix down here. Like, just drop your W, walk up, and hard push. You shouldn't be scared of them. They have 2 long swords. You have a BF sword. Like... Maybe you're trying to allow this gank to happen, so you're letting them push into you. I guess that's fine, too, if you get the kill on them. Okay. Alright. That's legit. Now go get this dragon. I was going to say you could also just hard push and then go get the scuttle and the dragon with your jungler, but that works too. I'm not sure if you're typing to him or what, but yeah. Communicating that to him, saying, hey, it's pushing, come gank. Would have been a good setup. But y'all definitely need to get that dragon, I think. Let me see. Talia, I know she just visited middle, but where'd she go? You should at least get Scuttle. Deny her the Scuttle. Scuttle's a big deal. I mean, Scuttle is, they've nerfed it over the last year or so, but it still is like a whole wave worth of gold. I think it's even more than a wave. Like 140 gold. It's like a cannon wave. So she's going to get this Scuttle, and she has no business getting this Scuttle when y'all have 3 up and 2 dead bottom. So I would have at least gone to get the Scuttle with him. And possibly Dragon. Dragon might be a little ambitious because y'all didn't push fast enough, but the lane was already pushing against you. But yeah, I would have gotten the Scuttle. Because she really shouldn't be getting that Scuttle. And like the thing is, if she's smart, she gets the Scuttle. She could also invade over here and start taking some of Kha'Zix's camps. I don't know if they had this warded or something down here and they see the Kha'Zix back, then she could have taken Scuttle and invaded. I don't think she did though. I can kind of cheat though because I can see the dots are still up on the map, but I'm trying like not to use that information. Okay, let's see this roam. Okay, so I'm not sure if you type this. Okay, so you said you're on your way for that gank. She has ult. Annie doesn't have flash. I guess you need to tell your buddy though. Like, I only like this partially because you're duoed with the bot laner, so you can kind of trust, hopefully, that he's not gonna die. Okay, that was good though. Yeah, she didn't have ult, so it's easy money. If you were just with a person that you aren't duoed with, that might be a bit more dangerous. Just because like Rakan has such a strong engage potential and Jinx has like no safety. So if she tried to step up to get any of those minions and they see you mid lane, then she's probably dead. But as it stands, that was a good move. You communicated it, Jinx backed up, didn't get caught, you got a kill for it, so that was a good job. Okay, Talia's still scary. Y'all have your flashes though, so if she tries to wall in here, you should be alright. I feel like you should. I guess your Frostfang's really close. I think you need to be using your W more often to try to proc Airy and most importantly Frostfang, just so you get rewards faster. Because it's free, you just walk up and press W. It's on a low cooldown, you don't give up a lot of pressure, and you've got a lot of mana most of the time down here, except for the time when you didn't. You didn't have enough for Black Shield, but I still think there are several times where you backed up and played a bit more passively than I would recommend when you were ahead, when you had a BF Sword of 2 long swords. Nice hit. Don't know where Talia is. Ooh, yeah, he didn't need to. That was a good Black Shield. He blew both sums though, which is really rough. So, okay, Talia's topside right now. Yeah, I think y'all can fight them. You know, if you land that bind, like, just walk up. So, like, when you land that bind, I would have immediately, like, flashed on her, ulted, and then ignited her. Because, like, she doesn't have heal. I don't know if you remembered she didn't have heal or not. Like, Rakan has exhaust, but you would have already put up most of your damage before the Rakan exhausts you. Because remember, even if she ults, like, if she gets out of your bind and ults, then your W is still going to stick to her unless she flashes away. So you'd be trading, like, in the very, like, worst case scenario, you'd be trading flashes with her. And she'd be super low, so she'd have to leave lane, and you'd get to push a wave into the tower, maybe even pick up a plate. Nice, yeah. Okay. Talia's here. Watch out, Talia's here. He's dead. Yeah, I would have flashed immediately. Like, as soon as you hit that bind, I would have flashed immediately, ignited, and ulted. And I'm pretty sure that would have come very, very close to killing her, especially with a couple of autos. Rakan would have probably blown his exhaust after you ulted and ignited. Like I said, if she lives, she's going to blow her ult and she's going to blow her flash to try to get you. And then she's going to have to leave lane. And it's better for her to blow, like, you want her to blow her ult because you're the one who's going to be initiating most of these fights. Nice. With your bind. And you've done a good job of catching them with some binds, but it's been a couple of binds where I feel like you could have maybe gone a bit deeper. That one in particular, when she was right there and she had like 300 health. Especially if you remembered she didn't have flash. Because the Rakan's going to get binded too. If Rakan tries to stick around and save her, Rakan's going to get binded also, and then Jinx can ult her there. I don't remember if Jinx had ult for that situation, but as soon as you hit that bind, Jinx should have thrown her ult too. I don't think she was in range to chomp her, but... And I don't remember if her line of sight... Let me just go back and look at that play again, just real quick, and then we'll fast forward through some of this. Pull it back a little bit here. Okay. Okay, I think it's around here. Oh no, y'all were kind of pushing a tower. Okay, that's where you got the Rakan. Jinx blew her sums. Okay, I think this is it. Okay. So he's already using his W here. Okay, so she just missed her zap. She's using her W, and I guess your instinct is to like sidestep that W. But you could have also just flashed forward on that. She's got 400 health. Your ult is probably going to do like 150. Ignite's going to do like 150, and then you can get some autos on her. Your black shield's probably down right here. How many points do you have in your... Yeah, you've got 4 points in bind. Like 2.5 seconds. I would have done it. Because Jinx actually is close enough where she could start autoing. And she did have her ult here, so... I think you could have flashed it, ignited, ult, and then your buddy could have just rocket, like, ulted her, and she could have died. Or he could have even just walked up and tried to chompers her. If he committed to this more instead of walking away, I think he could have chompered the bind. But I think at a bare minimum, like, he already missed his Q. Okay, it happened. It'd be nice if he hit it, but, like, I still think that he could ult and then probably land, like, an auto attack or two in there. I think that just your ult plus ignite plus her ult would be enough to kill him right here. And she's binded for so long. She did actually ult right there, yeah. But it just wasn't enough. Okay, I'll fast forward. But yeah, I think right there, if she's at like 300 health, I would probably just go for that. Okay, so you got that. We're back to where we were. All right. So what'd you get? I really don't like going hourglass. It's nice because you have stopwatch. I'd still would rather get like something with more team utility, like a redemption or something. I mean, it is nice. It does allow you to kind of flash forward and start fights, and you kind of are one of the only initiators. I guess Sona can kind of initiate, so maybe, but I mean, obviously. Whoa, back up. Annie's right there. Annie's right there, man. Okay, maybe you just weren't looking. But yeah, she's probably dead. Yeah, you gotta always keep an eye on the mini-map there. And Sona did ping they were missing also. Y'all need to give this up. Tell your buddy you're not stopping this. It's really dangerous. Well, he did get a kill, which is nice. Well, okay. I mean, once you kill the Annie, maybe. It's dicey because you weren't there and Kha'Zix and Trundle are both not there, and Trundle doesn't have TP, so y'all basically just did a 2v4 and got away with a kill there. So it worked out because you outplayed him. That was a good rocket by the Jinx, but I would not recommend that. Usually, if you're going to be down one player, I probably wouldn't take the fight, and two, almost certainly would not take the fight. If you can get a little snipe in there like Jinx did, you know, you don't think they're going to hard engage on you. You got some vision, you're just throwing a couple of things in there, just seeing what happens, that's fine. But, like, walking into the ramp and trying to mess around with them, I don't know. I think that's risky under a lot of circumstances. But maybe, you know, if you can sense that they're scared, like, maybe you could do it. But okay, so she's got Essence Reaver. How is she so far ahead of you? Oh, it's the CS. That's the thing is, like, your Jinx, you got 4 kills, but she's ahead of you on items. And a lot of that's because she has, like, 35 more CS than you. Or 30. 34. Okay. Now, one build on Morgana, I haven't tried this personally, but I think in theory it actually works out probably pretty well, is the Glacial Twin Shadows build. Because Morgana really doesn't have a good, like, rune right now. Like, Aerie's okay, but realistically, like, I don't know if we can see. It's not going to tell us how many, like, Aerie procs you got. But look at the end of the game. I suspect you're not going to get a ton of Aerie procs. Like, you get some, but, like, that little bit of chip damage right now doesn't matter. Now, if you hit more Ws earlier, if you're more aggressive with those Ws, on the, then, like, maybe it adds up. But you don't have a super heavy, like, Jinx is not, like, super aggressive poke early. Oh, nice. Go, 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 go. Flash. Flash ult. Flash ult. Okay, you got him anyways, but like, as soon as you hit that bind, I think maybe you're being a little conservative. Nice. Your boy's on point here with these rockets. But, like, as soon as you hit that, like, it's got to be, like, immediately flip the switch. Like, as soon as you hit that bind, if you have flash up, I would just flash. I would just flash, ignite him, ult him, just get that kill, get it done. And then you're going to force the Xayah to flash also at that point. Like, she's going to have to ult and flash probably to get away from you. So don't be afraid to trade flashes. If you're someone who has a good initiate, like, don't be afraid to trade their flashes, because if Xayah doesn't have flash, she's pretty vulnerable. And you also have Hourglass, so even if she, like, ults and gets a bunch of feathers around you, you still have opportunities to outplay it. So that's twice now. I would definitely, like, just maybe err on that. Just try to be a little, what you might think of as a little too aggressive whenever you land those binds. Because I feel like right now you're just a little passive. Like, you're allowing, like, you're just binding and you're settling for just, like, putting a W on them. If they're under half, like, I would do it. Like, if you have a really good inclination that you're going to be able to kill them, I would just go for it. Because, like, you might be thinking, okay, well, they're going to flash out of it. But once again, I think trading flashes is okay in your position. Because you're going to be the one hitting those binds most of the time, right? Like, I guess maybe, like, you could think, well, Rakan could go on me if I don't have flash, and that's true. But you also have Black Shield. I just feel like you definitely, you know, could be running the show, especially with, like, how often you're hitting these binds on them. Like I said, like, if they're full health, maybe not. You know, maybe don't go all in. But, like, if they're under 50%, I would probably go whenever you hit that bind. But yeah, that's because, like, if you think about, like, flash is important to keep up, but it's also a resource, right? If it's not on cooldown, then that means you're not, like, you're missing some proactive plays you could be making on a champion like Morgana. Like, you know, like Janna, yeah, don't flash forward and ult, you know, a lot of the time. It can look cool if you get that to happen sometimes, but, like, on Morgana, when you have such a strong initiate with your flash ult, if they're already binded, like, you're forcing them, like I said, you're forcing them to flash. And they take a lot of damage, and you don't if they flash away. So you end up the better end on that trade. Because you don't have any plates. Like, you barely touch the towers. And I feel like on a couple of these plays, if you killed them, you could have had a couple of towers. So it's not, or like at least a couple of plates. So it's not just the kills. It would allow your Jinx to catch up in CS a bit more. You'd get a couple of towers, which would be worth another kill. That's just one thing I think that could definitely help here. And it's pretty simple to do. You just press the go button whenever you hit your bind. Especially if you do it with the Jinx and she understands you're going to do that. Like if she throws in a Chompers or even just a Zap plus ulti. Now be very careful here. Talia is top, but you got to respect the recon there, I think.
Killing spree.
Huh. Interesting choice. What kind of boots you running? I would definitely finish tier 2 boots before you get blasting 1. Like 100% you want mobility boots, I think, on I mean, maybe Ionian boots, maybe, especially if you're going for those flash plays like I'm suggesting. Maybe the Ionian boots are good here for the extra cooldown on flash and ignite. But something, either Ionian boots or mobility. Mobility is usually thought to be the best boots on many supports because it allows you to get better vision down faster and get back to lanes. So ultimately it gives you more experience. And it allows you to more safely clear wards too, because hitting the wards doesn't take away the mobility bonus anymore as of a few years ago. So, you know, the obvious reason too, it allows you to rotate to fights like 5 seconds faster, which can make or break certain fights. But the big one is just it indirectly gives you a lot of experience because you can go ward and get back to a lane to get experience faster. That's the real like secret reason why a lot of top end players get mobility boots. Like the roaming's nice and that's good, but just like even the extra experience right there would have done it. Would have gone. I don't know. Like he was kind of low on health, but I think especially if you have your black shield and you have stopwatch, I think there's very little risk in you hitting that bind and then flashing forward, igniting, ulting him, and then just like walking forward while he's binded towards the Xayah, so that he can't, like, it makes it more difficult for him to get away. I don't know. I mean, trading flashes with Rakan, not as good because he's so mobile, not as good as it is with Xayah, but once again, I'd try it. I would see what you can get. Stick on her. You have Hourglass, right? Was it up? Yeah, you got Hourglass. I think you could have stuck on him with that. Like with that ult, because if the second part of your ult connects, then she's dead. So I would have at least made her blow her ult or like blow her flash before you just blow your flash for free. Right? So like let me show you what I'm talking about here real quick and then we'll move on. Like you want to always try to get something in response. Okay, so let's watch this. Okay, you missed it. Oh. Slow us down. Back up. Sorry. Alright. Okay, so you missed your bind. That's bad. Right here, though, when she starts going on you, I would just ult her. Right now. And then she's got to make a choice. If she gets that close to you, she's got to make a choice. Is she going to keep chasing you, or is she going to back up and potentially let you step away? So you did ult. It was a little late, though. But she's still, like, she's still committing to you. So, like, right there, and you've almost got her chained. Like, if you would have just waited one more millisecond or something, then she would have been chained, and then Jinx could have rocketed her. I think she still has enough mana for rocket. Maybe not. Questionable. But I think if you just hourglass that, like if you land the second part of your ult and then just hourglass it, especially if you black shield yourself, I think you could have flashed after that, and I think that if Jinx turned around and started hitting the the Xayah while she's stunned from your ult, then I think the Xayah would have blown either heal or flash, and I think you still would have been able to flash. That one's a little bit closer because Jinx didn't have enough mana for Rocket, but she was chasing you. Like, she was going to let that stun happen, and like I said, I probably would have let her do it. Now, they could time, when you Hourglass, they could time it to where, you know, maybe they kill you before you can flash after the Hourglass, but I guess Rakan could have ulted and just sat on you when you Hourglass. I don't know. It's a toss-up. I think that if you land that stun, though, that Jinx might be able to clean her up, especially since she's got a couple of items here. Oof. Yeah, it's... Yeah, Jack's big problem right now. Yeah, Trundle got run over. That's another thing that we mentioned earlier, too, is, like, not taking these opportunities to, like, flash ult when you land those binds. Like, just not going, like, full-on aggression means the laning phase lasts longer, because if you had a couple more kills on them and you got some plates, you could maybe bully them off of towers, and you could have maybe taken that tower down 3 or 4 minutes faster in bot lane. And that means that you could force action elsewhere on the map, and likely Jax would have to go help deal with that. So that means that Jax would not get as much alone time to farm this Trundle top. And so now, like, this is an indirect consequence also of not being, like, very aggressive in the bot lane, is that this Jax is just getting to run haywire. So once again, like, you know, obviously you're not the person that fed Jax, but at the same time, like, if you were more aggressive and, like, proactive in the lane, then you could have helped stop, as a team, you could have helped slow the Jax down a little bit by forcing him to get out of that lane faster so that he couldn't abuse his Trundle. So, like, maybe Trundle, like, if you took this tower faster, yes, your Jinx would be stronger, and you would be stronger, and you would have towers and dragons and all that, and that's really good, obviously, but at the same time, maybe Trundle's only 2 and 5 or something like that also. If you let him get out of lane 4 minutes faster, right? If you guys rotate up there and switch with him. You know, maybe this Jax is only 5 and 4 or something like that. Maybe he doesn't have completed Gensus right now, for example. So, you know, it just kind of adds up in ways that people often don't think about if you're not pushing your advantage as much as you can. Because that's really how you carry other people. Like, winning your own lane is very good, but that's really just step one, you know. Okay, ult, Sona, ult. I guess, what? Ult? Waiting on Talia to get here? I mean, what's the deal? I don't understand why she doesn't ult him right now. This is so risky. She's offsides. No clue. Should have definitely ulted. Like, if she ulted the Xayah and then you hit her with the Q, you guys would have had that 100%. But it is what it is. Once again, Kha'Zix's wrong place, wrong time, but you can't do anything about that. So you got to let that go. What are you building now? Ludens. Oh, I absolutely 100% do not get Ludens. So you need to think of Morgana more as, like, closer to something like Janna than closer to something like Xayah. The main reason, like, she does have good AP ratios, but she has really long cooldowns. And, like, your ult is very conditional a lot of times. So, like, the real reason I think that you would want to play Morgana is, you know, number one, she has a 3-second bind, and number two, she has that Black Shield. Actually, Black Shield's probably number one, and bind's number two. But it's for your utility, right? Like, it's not usually for a lot of damage. And the problem is, if you're playing support, most of the time, you're not going to have a lot of gold. And so you're going to be, like, you need to be as efficient as possible with buying. Just check out, I've done several guides on, like, itemization and efficiency. Check out, like, my 12 most misunderstood items video under my guide list, and I talk about this a lot. But you need to be getting some of those items that are like 2100, 2200 gold, like those types of things. So, like, I think Redemption is near the top of the list here. Like, Zhonya's is kind of a special case because it works so well with your ult. Y'all need to back up. Sona, I mean, I guess Sona's got some of her health back, but like you don't have your ult. I don't know. I mean, I guess it worked out for y'all, but you're really rolling the dice here. Like this Jax, if he starts going, yeah. Yeah, so the reason I'm saying y'all need to back up is, number one, Sona was pretty hurt. Like, yeah, she can heal up over time, but it still takes her a little bit. And you don't have your flash, you don't have your ult. Like, nobody has their ults right now. I don't think, unless it's glitched out on the replay client. But yeah, it looks like a lot of people do not have their ults. Sona just got chunked out, so I wouldn't even be looking for these fights. I would have just... As soon as you missed your Q and Sona got knocked down to like 25% health, I would have just spammed ping to get your team out of there. They just have so many ways to punish you under tower too. Like the Talia can knock people back, the Annie can like point-click stun people, Xayah can stun a lot. So they just have a lot of CC. But anyways, what I was saying about the itemization is that like it's really hard because you need a lot of big items to make the big items worthwhile because they need to stack multiplicatively with each other. So getting a Ludens is not nearly as good if you don't also have something like a Void Staff to go with it, or just some other types of AP items. It's not a very efficient item. It's got like a, I think without the Ludens passive, it's got like a 0.7 or something efficiency on it. It's like 70% efficient. Which is really bad. And so like the real power comes from having a lot of other AP items, so that like the Ludens whatever stuff, the splash actually does a lot of damage. But if you don't have a lot of AP to go with it, then the Luden splash is not really going to be worth it a lot of times. And that's really like most useful on poke champions. I guess you can use your W to trigger it, but it's kind of a selfish item that you would only want to do if you're a major gold source. You would want that. So like a mid laner is going to want Ludens probably because they're going to be able to pair it with things like Death Cap or Void Staff, or you know, just some other like big ticket AP items, so that the splash actually is worthwhile and does damage. Versus as a support, because you're on a limited budget, you want really efficient stuff that's low gold. So on Morgana, I think that means Redemption most of the time. Redemption's one of the most OP items in the game. And I would honestly think about Ardent Sensor as well. I know that seems a little weird, but keep in mind that Morgana's Black Shield counts as a shield. So it does trigger Ardent Sensor. And the plus healing and shielding will mean that your shield stays up longer, so that your Jinx will be immune to CC. Especially when your Jinx is like pretty fed. You know, she's got like 3 items. Like Ardent Sensor is so good. And like right now, if you think about your budget, right? Like if you got rid of the Ludens and you got rid of this Blasting Wand or whatever, if you traded those in for something else and like the Ruby Crystal, then you could have had 2 items for that. You know, you could have had like Redemption and Ardent Sensor for the price of Ludens plus these components, which I think would be way, way more powerful right now. So the thing I was talking about earlier, if you take the Keystone... Okay, hold on. No, do not walk that way, Trundle! Oh, God. So bad. Once again, I'm not sure if this is like super in vogue right now or not, but like taking the Glacial. Okay, nice. And then you can take Twin Shadows and Hextech GLP. I think that might be reasonable on Morgana because like the slow is so useful if you're able to hit your bind and allows you to stick to people when you've got your ult going. So that can open up alternative build paths if you want to go like Twin Shadows GLP, which once again I haven't tested it, but I think it could be okay. It's a little awkward because you can't abuse it as well early because she has such short attack range, so you can't abuse like the slow on GLP as much early, but that would open up for you to make some more plays with the ghosts. I don't know, it's interesting. But like with your current build, I think that Redemption Ardent Sensor would probably be where I would want to go. Athene's is like alright. I mean, it's a fantastic item, but like Morgana, it's like you don't have a lot of ways to charge it up. But Athene's is also worth considering. Mikhail's, if you can use Mikhail's properly, I think can be really good too, especially if you have Redemption. Now these guys need to back up. I mean, yeah, that. Anyways, okay, so yeah, I mean, y'all were pinging them back. They just weren't listening, so that's really all you can do, I guess. But yeah, I think that maybe even Mikhail's would be all right. So I don't mind Zanya's. You know, like I said, I think Zanya's does make sense, but you got to be proactive with it, right? You got to have those like flash forward ults whenever you get those binds and things like that if you're going to get Zanya's. Otherwise, Redemption's just going to be way better in team fights. So I would consider Redemption Ardent Sensor most of the time on Morgana, and then maybe Mikhail's, like being able to cleanse the Annie stun or like a Jack stun or something could be really useful. And the extra plus healing and shielding with Redemption would be very nice. If you do want to take Ardent Sensor, which if you have a Jinx on your team, especially if it's your buddy and you know he's probably going to do pretty well, I think that you could go Font of Life as well. As a secondary, you can go like Revitalize and Font of Life as sort of your secondary. And that would mean if you hit your bind, anyone that auto-attacks the person that's binded is going to be able to get the Ardent Sensor buff. So that means you don't even have to use your Black Shield on the Jinx to trigger it if you're hitting your Q, although you can still do it with your Black Shield. So I think that gives you more ways to spread it to different people. Another option could be Zeke's. Now, they don't have a lot of AD assassins here, but if they have, like, a Zed or a Talon or something like that, Zeke's is all right because she has a pretty low cooldown ult. She wants to get in close anyways, so she's probably going to get hit. And that would also buff up your Jinx to have a lot more auto-attack damage. So that's just something else to think about. And if you do Zeke's plus Ardent Sensor, then that would double buff your Jinx. So that would give her the extra on-hit damage as well as the extra attack speed. So I would be thinking more utility instead of the AP, especially like Leandri's Torment is really not for Morgana. Like, you want that to be on a champion that does like dot damage. I mean, yeah, her pool does kind of apply if you hit your bind and stuff like that. It's just, you don't usually see that on Morg. Like, that's really just for, like, people who are going to get rivalized a lot of the time. So, that'd be for, like, Brand or Zyra. So, yeah, I would consider either going, like I said, either going the Enchanter type of build with Redemption and Ardent Sensor, and then either a Zeke's and Mikhail's or an Athene's, depending on what's going on. Or, that was ambitious. Oh, did she get her ult? Oh, that was a nice ult. That was a clutch ult. Okay. Or if you do want to go AP, consider at least getting the utility AP items with like GLP and Twin Shadows with GLP. So that way, like, you are getting some AP, but you're also getting like more utility for your team. Oh, yeah, I was about to say don't walk over that. I would have just stood perfectly still so you don't trigger any more of those things until somebody heals you. Okay, nice. Alright, Trundle's pushing middle. I think you get one more. Yeah, there's no bear and there's no dragon, so I would just get one more. You always want to watch these death timers. Talia's dead. Yeah, I think you get an inhibitor, and I'd probably rotate middle after that. Talia has most of their kills. She has 13 kills. This is why it's important to tab to see, like, okay, they've got 4 people up, but those 4 people are pretty weak without Talia. Yeah, I probably would have rotated up immediately after inhibitor, and I maybe could have gotten this one. Although backing up is also reasonable there. It's just without the Talia, I'd probably go for 2 and force them to 4v5 me because, you know, that Talia has so much of their gold right now. And I think, yeah, you had everybody up, so if you joined the Trundle, you could have forced a 5v4 in your favor at the inhibitor. Alright, we got Baron up. That's big dragon. Elder coming up. Alright, you don't have a lot of dragons, but denying that from them could be important. I think overall you need a lot more wards down as well. I don't know how many pinks you have. You may have gotten a couple, but it feels like I've spent a lot of time talking about the itemization because I think that's the easiest thing to fix. We've talked some about macro. But vision definitely needs to be a very high priority. Like, instead of rotating top, you needed to be over here visioning this area. Because now it's going to be very dangerous to walk over here and try to get vision. Because they're all just going to be, like, cruising around here. If you're afraid they're going to sweep it, a good place to put a ward is, like, right here. It's very rare they sweep that. So, if you're trying to place defensive wards and you can't control a zone, no, don't walk there. Oof. Yeah, don't ever try to walk near that bush if you don't know. Back this up so I can see what's going on here. Let me pause this. So you know Talia's in the area because she's been over here throwing stuff at you. So you need to be very careful around this bush and like right here. If you do get a ward in here, someone does ward this, then you can walk over here and ward this first. Or maybe throw a Q from like here all the way in there. But still, like, you just need to be very, very careful. Because if you see one person here, you know there's probably a lot of people here. All we see on the map right now is Annie, and you know Talia is here. So there's a decent chance that 3 or 4 of them could be in this area. So just assume they are. Like, if they were all right there, you're dead. And then they get Baron. Okay. Nice kill there. I would have probably flashed that wall. I mean, let me go back here and see. Okay. So you're probably over here trying to ward. You're not really paying attention to what's going on down here. Fair enough. Okay, your Q's on cooldown. But you still have your ult, right? Can't tell. Might be on cooldown. It's tough with the replay because sometimes I think it says that stuff is on cooldown when it's not. How long on your bind? Is it not going to tell me? Okay, you had 0.7 seconds left on your bind. You still have your hourglass. I would have flashed it. I would have flashed the wall. Ignited somebody in there. Probably just whoever's like low right here. And then your bind's going to be up in a second, your Q. So I would flash ult if you have ult. If you don't, I don't know. But I would just flash it and Q and ignite and just get in there. Just because you have hourglass. This is a game-defining fight. If you guys win this fight, you get Baron, and then you can probably, like, take 3 inhibitors off of it. If you lose it, they're going to get Baron, and they're going to probably get Elder off of that, which is going to be really hard for you to come back from. And you don't have any towers in your base if they run up the middle. So I would probably flash and go for it with whatever you have right there, because they're basically in a 4v5 right now. Is that right, Rory? Oh, my goodness. Why is she mad? Did you call in the pizza? Yeah, so I think if you would have been able to flash in faster. Huh? Probably like 5 minutes. Yeah, let's go ahead and order it. But, yeah, does he just end it right here? Yeah, so I think that... Yeah, so he just ends it. Yeah, I think if you flashed over and binded, you could have turned that fight for sure. Even just a flash ignite just to get some people dead faster probably would have been enough. With Hourglass, like... If you just ran at the Xayah and just stopped her from attacking, even that, just like... flashing over and just running at the Xayah and just forcing her to stop, like, AoEing your whole team right there, I think would have bought enough time. Especially if you Zhonya's, just get in her face and Zhonya's and just stop her, even if you don't have ult or bind. Like, she's going to run back and probably respect you because she's not going to know if you have ult or not. Okay, but I think there's plenty of... The good news is I think there's lots of stuff that's very easy to fix here that can get you a lot more elo, for sure. So, you know, number one, like I said, you know, a lot is the itemization. Like, you do not want to go for heavy AP items on Morgana just because you don't have the money to afford multiple big AP items, so they're not going to synergize with each other as well as like a mid laner would that's going to get things like Ludens, right? So just watch my itemization video, 12 most misunderstood items. You don't have to watch the whole video, but just watch the section on Ardent Censer and Redemption, and I explain just how cost efficient those are. Really, virtually any support that's in the bot lane, unless it's Zyra or Brand. There's special cases because they have so much base damage in their kit with Brand's like passive, both the basic burn and the 3-hit explosion, that they can actually afford to get spell penetration specifically. So like they're going to be getting things like Sorcerer Boots, Morellonomicon, and Rylai's, which isn't exactly pin, but it works really well with dot damage. The same thing with Zyra, because her plants give her so much base damage. That's why you see those AP champions bot lane getting specifically spell pin items, or items that work really well with damage over time. But if you'll notice, like, you don't see a ton of, like, you do see some Morgana bot lane for sure, but you haven't seen her a lot middle. But I think Lux is a really good case where you'll see mid lane Lux will get things like Ludens, right, a lot of the time, and she'll get traditional AP items. But bot lane Lux, if you notice the big innovation that really took Lux to new heights, there were two things really that were going on. There are several things that make Lux support very good, but two of the big ones, you know, one of them was being able to take Aftershock. Okay. You could actually try Aftershock on Morg. I don't think it's as good as it is on Lux. But the other big thing is people figured out, hey, if I don't build AP stuff, if I just build like Athene's plus Ardent Censer, then she's super cost efficient and so good. Now, yes, part of that is because she has a shield that hits multiple people. She has a better mitigation shield than Morgana, although Morgana's ability to stop CC is very good. But that's the innovation. And so that's why she's strong, is because she became cost efficient, because people figured out, hey, I should just stop buying these really expensive AP items and start building like these cheaper items that are really cost efficient, right? So if you do that on Morgana, I think that'll improve your game a lot. So like Hourglass, okay, situationally, kind of makes sense, especially if you're already in Inspiration, you're going to take the Stopwatch rune. All right. But I really think that Redemption and Ardent Censer definitely need to be in there, like somewhere in your build. And I think situationally that like Zeke's, especially if they have like an AD assassin, like a Kayn or Zed or a Talon or something, can be potentially pretty good. And Locket is another option if they have a lot of like AoE teamfight damage like this team did. Locket could be okay. You don't stack a lot of health, so it's not as good as it would be on a big tank, but you do have Redemption already in theory, and that's a really good combo because the plus 10% healing and shielding will make your Locket bigger, and you can lock it and then Redemption, and the shield from Locket will buy enough time for your Redemption to hit and refresh everybody. So that's still a really good 1-2 punch. The old Redemption Locket, the classic, the El Clasico, is still going to be really good. And then I think that like maybe Athene's sometimes could be all right on her, especially if you're going Ares. You can get a little bit of poke damage in there to charge up the Athenes before the fight starts. And then Mikhail's, if they have CC and you use it quickly, can also be really good. So I think those are your main options. I think your core should be Redemption plus Athenes, or plus Ardent Censer, especially if you have an auto attack like hyper-scaling champs like Jinx. Zonya's situational, but good a lot of the time on her. And then Zeke's, Locket, Athene's, Mikhail's, all kind of situational, like, you know, third plus items. Okay, the other thing, if you do want to build AP items, would be, you know, like I mentioned, you could go for the Twin Shadows GLP build if you want to, like, add some consistency to landing your binds. If you do want to get a little bit of AP and have a bit more utility while you're getting AP, if you take Glacial Augment, that could be a decent build. I haven't tried it, but I think it could be okay. Okay, as far as like the gameplay itself is concerned, I think you got to be more aggressive in the lane. Especially, y'all were really aggressive early on. You know, you were landing binds, you were creating pressure, like that was great. And then you got ganked and just like completely gave up on it, even once you got your flash back. So I agree, you have to be a little bit more passive once you don't have flash. You've already been ganked and died once, but I feel like you gave up a bit too much, especially because you had an item advantage. So, like, you had BF sword and they had 2 long swords, so you got a really huge edge there. You know, you got like a 1080 edge. I think maybe you're too scared or like of Rakan or something. But especially if you have stopwatch available, if you've got your flash, the flash is W, I think you could be a lot more aggressive. So there were several plays where you could have flashed, could have made a big play, would have given you a bigger edge in lane. You could have crushed your lane faster, gotten more dragons, either taken mid tower or rift, or helped out the Trundle by taking top. I think there's a lot of stuff you could have done more, like if you were more proactive. It would have opened a lot more opportunities for you early on. Jinx, as I mentioned, just work on the last hitting a little bit. Y'all, they were very scared of you for most of that lane until you started getting scared of them. And they started feeding on that fear a little bit and being a bit more aggressive. But I think that you could have kept, the aggression up on them. I think that you can definitely beat them, especially if they try to, like, if Rakan tries to engage on you and you either black shield fast enough or you flash his ult, especially once you get Hourglass. Because remember that, like, your ult still sticks to the Xayah even when she ults. If you already have your ult on her, she's going to have to flash to get away from you, most likely. Or she's still going to get stunned. That works for, like, Vladimir's pools. That works for a lot of champions that go untargetable. If you already have the binding on them, they will get stunned. Unless they get out of the bind range. So just keep that in mind as well. Like, maybe you thought that Xayah was a lot safer than she actually is. Against Morgana. So... okay, so those are the big things. So just be a little bit more aggressive. Think about your itemization a little bit more. Consider getting those tier 2 boots, like I mentioned earlier. I think Ionian, if you're making the flash plays, could be good if you're going Zhonya's early. But I also think that just the traditional mobility boots could have been good. Flashing that wall at the end, I think, was a huge opportunity. Macro-wise, I think the rest was kind of okay. I think that you could have forced that scuttle or the dragon earlier when you got that double kill bottom. I think you have to get more. Off a double kill bottom, I think you definitely have to get more than just push it in, right? Like, at least 2 plates. Like, if you're not going to do dragon, I think you got to at least do 2 plates. Yeah, Talia was close, but I think you had time to at least get, like, 1, probably 2 plates. So, I'm trying to think. I think that's about it. That's enough to start with. Of course, there's a lot of other things, but I think that was pretty good. Jinx's itemization looked good. I think her positioning was pretty good in fight. She hit a lot of rockets. That was great. I think the biggest thing is just hit more CS, especially if you're duoed with somebody and, your support can be aggressive and kind of zone them off a little bit. Just hit more CS. Maybe position a bit more forward, like if the Morgana's forward in the lane, like applying pressure. Jinx could step up so that she's close enough to throw a Chompers immediately whenever Morg hits that bind. That can be a very potent combo. So just, sniff them out, right? Just get a sense if they're scared. Really, prey on that fear a little bit. Like, don't be afraid to get up and bully them, especially if you know where the Talia is. Like, if you know she's topside, you can definitely be a bit more aggressive on the bot. But anyways, that's going to be it. So thank you very much, Wilt. I really appreciate it. And thanks to Natrops also. Thank y'all very much for the donation. I really appreciate it. Anyone else out there that like a coaching session, remember you can email me at thestrategyprofessor@gmail.com. Happy to help you out with that. I can usually do it live on stream on Twitch, the Strategy Professor on Twitch. I can get it in right after I, complete whatever I'm doing. So as soon as I finish the game, I can get you in on that coaching session right away most of the time. So you can get instant feedback on it. I can also do it off stream if you prefer that. And then if you just want to watch more coaching sessions, then this will be in a playlist, so just look in the description, take that link. You can see which champion I'm coaching, so you can just kind of skip through and find your favorite champions. Some stuff changes from patch to patch, right? Like, items change, sometimes champions change. But unless it's like an overhaul to the champion, unless they're getting completely reworked, the gameplay is usually pretty similar. So even if you want to watch, like, another Morgana game, for example, that's maybe, like, 4 or 5 patches back, it's still going to be similar. You can still learn a lot from it, and it can still improve your play, I think. So don't be afraid to go back in the archives and look at some of those old coaching videos if you want to learn more about a champ. But be sure to check out the guides as well on the channel. We have a ton of topical guides. I talked about the itemization guide. That one's a really good one, 12 most misunderstood items. I have best one-trick champions, how to macro better, how to micro better, how to control objectives better. Does luck exist in League of Legends? How can you overcome it? Just tons and tons of guides there. I do tier lists for every patch. Check that out. I'm covering teamfight tactics now, so there's a lot of content for that that's going to be upcoming. And all of this is fresh and new. I usually release new guides on, like a daily or at least every other day basis. So, and I'm going to try to do even more. So just constant new content. Check it out. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Come follow me on Twitch. Check it out. If you have a Twitch Prime laying around, you want to throw that my way, you really like the content, that of course helps out a ton. But otherwise, I'll see you next time. Have a great day.